we're gonna get really tactical. As you just mentioned, you did $54,000 of premium in 21 working days. Really just want to really just understand your sales process, what you do, how you know go through your sales process, objections that you handle, and most importantly, just want to learn, man, what has been the number one thing that you've continued to focus on every single day to make sure that you can build a duplicatable system to sell over 50,000 of premium in just 21 days. What is the one thing that you think is so important for agents?
I think it's time efficiency. If I can
Okay.
sum it up in one phrase, really what that means is knowing that you have a battery, a
Mhm.
energy battery, if you will, when you're going into the day in each and every day throughout the week. And just knowing that when you're on these calls, you're trying to get the most out of it in, really the least amount of time as possible. That way you're able to protect your own time. You're really spending most time on the ones that are really going to give you those sales that you're looking for in the end. And then also having the discernment to, maybe find your way out of certain conversations that you can tell earlier on that it may not be advantageous for you to stay on.
Right. So you're basically saying you filter out people that like definitely aren't going to buy or people that like are interested and that potentially are going to buy. How do you know, like, what are signals that you can pick up like through your emotional intelligence that you think, because a lot of agents don't understand this, but what are things that you look for, like red flags, like this person ain't gonna do it, like I'm gonna waste my time. I'm not gonna say waste your time because you want to help them, but what are some signals that you look out for that help you protect your time?
Sure. I'd say when you're trying to dig into really the core details of what they're looking to solve, and if they're really not giving you anything else, I would say they need to at least put in maybe not so much the same amount of energy as you are putting into the call, but there needs to be some level of reciprocation there. But if you're really
Mhm.
not getting any, I mean, the likelihood of them wanting to actually, do anything to solve their issues that they said they have, or they may not even say they have, it's not likely in that case.
What are some things that they would say that you would hear your prospects say, like, man, they're not gonna do it? Like, can you give me an example of like what you listen for?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking around, and of course, that's an initial objection. But if they just continue to say that throughout the call,
Mhm.
regardless of how much I try to dive into them and try to bring out that pain in the conversation and in the discovery, if they're not progressing in their desire to solve a problem, I would say that's a good indicator that they're not really looking to solve the problem that they said they had.
And what question in your script is that so important that's like a must have that you can't miss that would help you illustrate that they have that problem or not? Like, what's that one question that you really look for and how they answer?
Well, of course, in the part of our script where we're killing zombies, but if they're still to the level where it's like when you ask them, is there any reason why we wouldn't want to be able to take care of this finally here for you? I mean, after all these things that you told me, and
Hmm.
if they're still at the same level that they were at before, in the beginning of the call, then I'm more likely than not to be like, okay, well, do we actually want to solve this problem here? Or is this something that we're just kind of wasting a little bit of time on the phone for? Maybe you just want to
Gotcha.
talk to somebody.
So they're filtering and they'd be like, I don't know, I'm just shopping around. It just depends on everything. Like those people
Yeah.
are the ones that aren't opening up. Absolutely. Like when it comes to your process, out of all the people that you've sold, like what percentage do you think give you an objection at the close? Like you did 50 plus thousand. Would you say 50% you had to overcome objections? 30%? What percentage would you narrow that down to?
So out of the ones I've closed, I'd probably say it was around maybe 30. It was less than
Okay.
half for sure. Maybe 30, 25, maybe a fourth of them. And it's a varying degree of what type of objections they were, of course, whether it was like a very serious one or it was maybe just a general little bit of concern. But yeah, I'd probably say about maybe a fourth, maybe 30%.
Cool. 30%. So out of the 30%, I mean that could, indicate, 15 or $20,000 of premium that could have been lost if you didn't know how to handle them. What
Yeah.
objection do you think is the most common that insurance agents get that probably coming that you've been able to master?
It's definitely the spousal objection. There,
Mm,
actually, I would say it's two. It's the spousal objection or the I don't have money to pay for it right now, which are very easy to navigate. I think, that, especially the second one.
okay.
But I guess amongst the two, the harder one would be, of course, a spouse objection. It's just making sure that they have the control and putting that in their mind that they are going to be the ones that are going to ultimately make the decision here. But also, just being able to present it in a way where it is allowing them to have that second opinion there that they're looking to have, but while also getting what you need done for them.
Absolutely. Let's break that down tactically because a lot of people struggle with that. I'm actually
Yeah.
interested first in no money to pay for it today. Like, where is that process? So I know you typically ask, like, what day do you want to start this up? They give an objection. Where do you typically get that objection? Like, what would the scenario be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like it when they actually say it earlier in the call. Sometimes they'll just interject and just be like,
Hmm.
well, I'll let you know, like I'm on a fixed income, even before we even get to that portion of the script. But they may often bring that up earlier on. And if you're able to put that in their head, oh, with that reassurance, oh, that's totally fine. Like we typically do work with people who are in this exact same predicament as you. So, I mean, don't worry about that. I mean, we'll definitely be able to just get you taken care of here today. But as far as like, handling that payment today, that's not something you'll have to worry about. But I'd say the sooner the better if they do bring it up, which sometimes they do, it is more advantageous because you can continue to just tap into that the whole entire call and just say, oh, yep, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. And by the time you get to the close, it's like they already know that and they're ready to go.
I was just gonna ask that. Do you feel like because we don't have that in our script, do you think it'd be helpful to add that into the script? Like, and Isaiah, we work with people on fixed incomes. Just want to let you know if we did find you something, you don't have to pay for anything. Would that be helpful for you? Do you think that would help lower someone's guard?
I think it would be helpful if you knew already. I wouldn't maybe put that in right off the bat because that
Okay.
kind of kills your chances off to get an immediate
Okay.
start, which some of
Hmm.
them may be able to do, even if maybe there's some hesitation and they're like, okay, you know what, let's just do it. But
Sure.
I think if we're going on the front foot there and just saying, and kind of basically giving them an out to not start this policy immediately, it may be kind of disadvantageous, ultimately to try to get
To
those
just
closer starts.
immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then for the spousal objection, how do you handle that? Just break that down because I think a lot of people can learn from this. It's let's say I'm like, Isaiah, everything sounds great, man, but I need to speak to my wife. Like what's just your simple process of
Yeah.
how you would handle that? What does that sound like?
Yeah, like sure, Peter. I mean, I totally agree. I think that's a great idea that you're bringing your wife into this, and of course, I mean, I'd want to go over that with my wife as well in that case. But let's do this here for you. This is kind of what we typically do in this case, Mr. Peter. I just want to go ahead and just make sure this coverage is available here for you in this case. So what I'm going to do is let's just say we'll start you off on this starter option for that 10,000 here. I'll take care of your eligibility here with Real Neighbors. And with that, of course, we'll go ahead and we'll just push out. You told me that you do get your payments on the 15th of the month. We do have about
Hmm.
6 days here before that comes around. That will give you plenty of time to go ahead and speak with your wife before this policy actually started. But we will go ahead and just take care of this 10,000. That'll give you what you need. And then if you ever wanted to bump that up later down the road, you have plenty of time to do so. Sound fair? Kind of something like that.
Love that. Yeah. So you're solving their objection and you're also like helping them understand how it's going to still kind of go their way.
Yeah.
And then you're not really leading with like, oh, we have to even see if we get you approved. And if they say like, what do they say like no to that? What do you think? What would you do then? Like, yeah, that sounds great, but I still need to speak to my spouse. Do you just kind of like set the appointment, or do you kind of keep pushing through?
I'll probably loop another time, go a
Mhm.
different direction in that way. Just say like, okay, what's kind of the main concern thing that you think is you're unsure of here that you want to really make sure that is clear with both you and your husband. And then maybe that's when we can circle back to, well, you told me that having something's better than nothing. You told me that, at this point, at least having the burl taken care of is the number one thing. So this one option here well, that will actually do it for you. So why don't we just go ahead and start with that? And then we can go ahead and add on later down the road to get that bonus coverage, if you will, later down the road after you speak with your husband, if that's something you want to do.
And then you
So
ask what this. I love that. So you just
yeah,
looping again. So you'll typically loop 2-3 times to push through it. Now, when it comes to your process, like how is your framework? Just like simply you start with the intro, you do the medical, but like you typically are like I think you talk about efficiency being one of the most impactful variables. What's your time frame for each part? So I know a
yeah,
lot of new agents struggle with like wasting too much time. Talk me through how much time it's you take in each section. So if you could just
sure.
help illustrate what that looks like.
Well, I have a bigger, further bird's eye picture to it in general. I mean, I don't know exactly how long for each part per se, but
Sure.
generally I try to get either into the application or get a no fully by either 15 to 20 minutes. That's kind of my goal.
15
So
to 20 minutes. Okay.
15 to 20 minutes is when I want to be through with the presentation. We're going to be either going into the present or the application at that time, or we're going to be just getting a no, like maybe setting
Mm-hmm.
out an appointment or just letting them go around that time. So medical, I mean, obviously you can't do a whole lot if they're just a slow individual and, they're reading off their prescriptions or whatever. But,
Yeah.
typically around like maybe 5 minutes, be done with that, moving into discovery.
And then typically that's where you spend most time. The 5 to 7 minutes left. There's 12.
Yeah.
What about people? So you say 15 to 20 minutes, but what about
Mhm.
people who say like, well, Isaiah, like, what about rapport? What are your thoughts on rapport building?
Well, I think it really depends on your sales style as well. And we have to be realistic with the fact that not every agent is the exact same to their approach, with their
Mm-hmm.
tonality, with just the way that they function on the phone. And I think one of the benefits of my process is just being self-aware that I'm not the most empathetic person to begin with. Like I don't have a naturally super deep dive emotional tone or anything like that. So a lot of the times I think it does depend on the person. There's some individuals where you have to spend a little bit more time on that, but there's a lot of times, as long as you're actually solving and you're getting the answers that you need as far as what the problem is, what would happen if you don't solve it, and then of course how we can solve it. Ultimately, that you got everything you need there for you, and then you can take on more of a professional tone as far as your approach for that, as instead of something that's maybe like more of a nurturing tone, which I guess in that point again, it goes back to how your selling style is in that case. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's so important because I think a lot of people say like I got to get them to like me because if they like me that they're going to buy from me. Like let's be honest, is there people that by the end of the call they don't really know much about you and you're not sure if they like you and they buy from you?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's about being like. I mean, sure that may be present in certain
Hmm.
calls here and there where you're maybe she pulls up a little side comment, and then you dive into that or something like that a little bit.
Yeah.
That happens, but ultimately, I think the biggest underlying factor, like the common denominator, it's just the fact that they trust you, and it sounds like you know exactly what you're doing, and you're a professional, and you know exactly what to do in order to solve their problem. And as long as that's the case, I found that that's kind of the common denominator there in most of my sales, is if they trust you.
Okay, this is something I want to break down. When someone's because I have a few things that come to mind. I can't forget. This is good. When you say I need someone to get to trust you, like how do you break that down to a level where an agent could understand? Because a lot of people say it like you got to get them to trust you. But what does that? What do you think that means, and what does that look like?
It's
Like
competence.
consistent
Yeah,
competence. Okay, so what does
it's
that mean?
competence.
Break that
It's
down deeper.
just the fluidity in your process, making sure that there's no large gaps when you're pulling up your quote here, when you're into the medical. If you're jumping the gun a little bit, like, oh, you're taking this or that. Like, I'm taking something for acid reflux. If you're like, oh, omeprazole, pantoprazole, like right off the
Mm-hmm.
bat, and you're helping them out find that, they're like, oh, okay, great. And then
Mm-hmm.
just little things like that. But it's not just that; it culminates with all the other things as well. Getting ahead on everything, having that energy, of like, this is what we're doing, as opposed to, oh, okay, gotcha, and maybe we can do this here to solve this problem. More along the lines, okay, this is your problem, this is how I can help you, this is going to be the best decision. And it's in that tonality as well, just saying, no, this absolutely, here I'm a professional, and I'm giving you this option here with like the utmost conviction in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are doing that throughout the whole entire call, you're 15, 20 minutes into a call, and you've been like that the whole entire time, you're like, okay, this person knows exactly what they're doing. Like, I'm not going to find anybody else that's of this level of competence in their professionalism, I guess you'll say.
Absolutely, man. I think that's the thing. It's like you're so sharp. It's the transitions are quick. Your competence, and you lead with different words. Like here's what we're gonna do. You like almost just lead them to the water, and it's like that's the plan. When it comes to your strengths, I think one thing that I wrote down is you do well with like men that are direct and straight shooters. Do you take a different approach with men who are like very logical, get down to business, versus like Miss Betty, or you have the same approach when it comes to selling individuals like that?
Oh, of course not. You got to have a different approach for the two of them. 100%. I think it would be foolish to take the same approach to the two, because of course certain pain points need to be hit depending on who you're talking to. So like, I will change my voice completely. This is how I talk normally, but like, if I'm talking,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like, I can't believe that happened to you, I'm so sorry. Like, I sound like a different person altogether. And I think that's important. I like to say it's kind of like putting on camouflage or being like a chameleon.
Hmm.
You kind of
Yeah.
got to alter it a little bit there. And that's with any sort of sales situation. You got to be able to read the room. But yeah, 100%. I think you need to take a different approach. And that comes with time of being able to perfect both of those, types
Mhm.
of approaches.
Yeah, so you have to adapt to your environment. I love that, Camila. When it comes to, is there anything that you did like because you've been in insurance for a few years now? Is there anything that you used to do that you like look back and you're like, man, I would never ever do that again in your sales process?
Hmm. I can't pick one in particular. I wouldn't say I have anything off the top of my mind. Um,
Okay.
Give me an
Yeah,
example of
there's
something, maybe.
Yeah, like for example, dude, when I got trained, like my first 14 days I didn't make a sale, I looked back at my script. In the medical section, they made me ask for someone's social security number, like when I first got started. And I
Mm,
was like, how did I do that? I also thought like that you have to be like really personable and likable. So I would
yeah.
spend like 45 minutes like on calls with people. And at the end, I'd give them the quote, and I'm like, they like me so much, and they would just literally click on me.
Mm.
So, or maybe you can even tell us like what have you learned about the final expense clients that like what do you think people need to understand about who you're selling when it comes to final expense? Like, I mean, you present, you speak to them all day, 6 days a
Yeah.
week. Like, what is
Yeah.
like the most important thing that you must know about the people that you're selling to?
Well, the ultimate thing is, I mean, yes, it's a personal interaction as well, but I mean, this is transactional. Like this, there is a need here that needs to be solved,
Hmm.
and you're just giving them the options. And I think ultimately, you got to remind yourself that that's what you're here to do. And so sometimes that means you just got to take the reins and just give them exactly what they need and kind of cut out the fluff a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, in some cases, when I was selling not only just life insurance, but other insurance products as a whole, I would maybe take a little bit too much time to try to build that rapport when it really wasn't necessary. As long as, again, they see you as the professional that can solve the problem, that's all you need to
Yeah.
do. And I think that is one of the pieces in the process there that I've kind of honed in a little bit. That again allows me to protect my energy and my time, and ultimately, be more efficient on the phones when you're on the phone.
Yeah. Like yesterday, you got 10 presentations, which is insane. Like, that's 2 days of work for most people that you got in one day. So it's like you're just getting more opportunities and more swings to hit home runs. If someone's like a new agent, and like, man, Isaiah, I watched your video, and they're like, man, I'm stuck at like 2 to 3 policies per week, and you didn't have full context of their calls, what would you think? Like, what is like one thing that you think like someone could improve on to make them a little bit better?
Well, if they're only getting two or three, you said contacts a day,
2 or 3 sales a week.
a week. Okay. Well, it depends. I mean, we got to look at the logistics there. If it's something where you're not getting many presentations out altogether, I mean, it's probably something with your intro.
Hmm.
But if you're getting their presentations and you're not closing them, I mean, there's a likelihood you may be spending too much time on this type of calls where, I mean, there's maybe not that likelihood of it becoming a close. And I think that's something that you got to spot earlier on. If the writings are on the wall there, that this is something I really need to dive into, or maybe something that I need to contract a little bit. And,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I think it's important. I think I learned that you don't. Do you quote everyone? Like, for example, if the guy's like, "Just give me the damn quote," come on, man, I need the quote. How do you handle those people? What do you do?
yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, sometimes there are people that are just like kind of rude in that respect, and sometimes I'll let them go if they're just continually doing that, because like it's
Yeah.
not worth my time. Like, look, I'm trying to be helpful to you, and if you're not going to reciprocate at least a basic level of that like respect or just that care in this call, then I'll be like, okay, thank you for your time. I don't think I can help you out. I mean, sometimes that is the case. You got to do that. And I think some people are scared to do that sometimes because I think we're so trained to just keep rejection
Hmm.
handling and continually doing that. But there are some cases where very clearly they're really not here to really solve the problem. They just want to see figures and then they're going to hang up on you. It's likely, but
When it
uh-huh,
Yeah, when it comes to like leads, how important do you think that is to? I mean, leads are important, right? You got to have
of
leads, but
course.
if I mean to sell 54,000, I mean, for now with your skill set of sales, if like, do you feel like leads, the quality of lead is as important because you have the skill? So what would you value more, having a 10 out of 10 skill set or having a 10 out of 10 lead with no skill set? What do you think is important?
We got to have the skill set for sure. I mean, even earlier on when I was, just a new agent, in case I was able to pull some pretty good numbers just because the process was there, the skill set was there. And you can't replace that. I mean, you can have the best leads in the world, but if you don't have the right process, you can still flub it up and end up not selling them.
Yeah.
So I would say more important is that process, being able to read and react to the type of client that you are speaking with. I think ultimately is the biggest thing. But of course, yeah, it's huge that the leads are great and it's fantastic and they continue to come in. I think it's more fine tuned and, after what we're actually looking for here is what it's targeting. So a bit of both, I'd say, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What is there a difference when you feel like selling someone simplified? It's like how do you pitch like a graded policy or guaranteed issue policy? Because a lot of people struggle with that because they don't think it's a lot of value. But what's your
Mhm.
approach to doing that?
Well, it's really making sure not to set the expectation earlier on in the call that they're going to be getting a day one coverage, because I think that can be really hurtful to your process if
Mm-hmm.
you dive in immediately on the call. Because a lot of times, like, yeah, we're going to try to get you like the day one coverage, and you say it way too early before even getting the full picture of the medical. And I think that's really where you have to be careful there, where
Mm-hmm.
with how you work it. But it's really just presenting that value there to me. It's like, look, putting it in pull and in full perspective there for them, where it's like, look, every single other carrier here is going to be either denying you or putting you in a 2-year wait, but they're not really going to pay basically anything out except the money you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
But this one here, and it's really just how about you frame it. Like this one here, like this is awesome. This is the one that can actually get you that coverage if even God forbid something were to happen to you in the first 2 years. And if you present it like that, and that, I mean, it truly is the best option for them. I mean, again, it looks like a $1 million as opposed to just a graded policy in that place. So
Yeah.
it's how you present it. Again, it's marketing really is what it is.
Yeah, can you make something that's turn nothing into something? How do you pitch your numbers? Because your average premium was great. I think it was in the 1100s, 1200s, probably above. What are some pitch things that you do when you present your numbers to ultimately sell higher premiums?
Mhm.
Because higher premiums, you make more money and you get better policies for your client.
Yeah,
What are some things
definitely.
that you focus on?
Well, I think number one is just don't be afraid to pitch higher from the get go. I mean, we train in the framework that we want to start around 65, but the reality is, especially with a lot of these people who have never looked into life insurance before and they're really just for the first time looking into it, they don't have any expectations for what this may or may not cost. A lot of these times they're just kind of on a boat when we're the wind that takes them to where they need to be. They don't have any direction as far as like what's normal and what's not, right? So sometimes it's pitching an $89 starter option or a $90 starter option or something like that. That way, when you're showing them the second or third option that's like $200, like the $90 looks great. And so to
Mm-hmm.
them, like it's just that framework there. I mean, obviously, if they told you I'm on $700 a month, then you're not going to pitch something that high in the beginning. But if they're kind of open ended and something like that, like why not? I have been making the concerted effort to put it in their head, like, look, we do have more options here, even more than the ones that I'm presenting here to you. So don't get too scared if these are a little bit high. We can always go up and down. And when you
Mm-hmm.
present that framework to them before you go into the options, if you do pitch a little bit higher than what they're comfortable with, that's fine. I mean, they will not just immediately hang up on you or something like that if you framed it like that, and then you'll be able to downsell. So I just say, if you don't buy a ticket, you won't win the lottery
Yeah.
in that regard. So you might as well just do it.
Are you also yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so have that confidence and that boldness to just shoot when you are listen when you do pitch like, that the 20,000 is going to be $120 per month. Do you pause a second and like listen for the response before you go up, or do you disregard what they say?
I honestly, I just drive through it. Like
Okay.
a lot of the time, well, not a lot of times. It depends on the person that I'm talking to. If it's one of those really active people that are really just going back and forth with you in the conversation, then yeah, maybe I may listen to it. But a lot of times it's just like boom, boom, boom. I'll put out the options there for us. This is what you expect here. Let's see what works, and that's really what I go for there.
And then you go, so you just go, okay, it's going to be $63 per month. Okay, the next option is this, and you don't really have any gaps. It's just kind of pretty fluid.
It's pretty fluid, yeah. And then of course I make an emphasis like, okay, this one is custom tailored to do this here for you, but this one will be a little bit better if you wanted to really take care of this. And it's just more of that. That way it's just like, oh wow, okay. I'm not that way it's kind of shifting the focus purely on just the price. And you're adding more value into what these options present there for them.
Good. So you're before you giving the price, you're explaining how it's going to solve their problem that you learned
Exactly.
about in the
Like
beginning.
in what in particular you're going to be getting with each individual option. Like this one will really leave some money behind if you're really looking to leave that extra little bit of money behind to your grandkids as well. I know you told me that's something you wanted to do. That's what this was going to do. And then price. So that way it's like that's not the biggest thing that they're looking at there. I mean, yes, it is a component, of course, but it's not the only thing. And again, they're looking alongside that of the value as opposed to
Hmm.
just the price alone. So
Right. So you're not highlighting the price, you're highlighting what the value is. That's awesome.
yeah.
Last thing that I have for you is what is like one word that describes what it takes to win in like final expense or life insurance. Like what's one word you think that comes to mind?
It's perseverance for sure. I mean, you're going to have weeks that are just really down for you, and that's
Uh huh.
normal. You could be the best salesman out there and you can just have a bum week. It happens. But ultimately, it's just having the mind to be like having that short term memory when it comes to selling and just being, hey, you
Hmm.
know, it's fine. It happened. Maybe I had a bad day or a bad week, whatever. And then you just get into the next one and have, that energy to get to where you want to be. And
Yeah.
that's ultimately it.
How do you try to like reset after harder weeks? Like what are things that you like to do?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just the balance of everything. It's you can't just like solve it with one thing like over the weekend or something like that. I think it's
Mhm.
all mingled in. The
Intertwined.
biggest
Yeah.
thing, like, got to have that balance outside of work. Like I go to the gym, I go to church, I spend time with my wife. All that's all
Hmm.
important because if you are bogged down in everything else, then you're not going to be able to fix yourself at work. It's not going to happen. And I had moments of time earlier on with the company where I wasn't cross checking everything else that I had going
Yeah.
on outside of work, and it was just peeling, or it was just seeping into my work as well. And it was
Yeah.
not looking great. But yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to speak to our clients a lot, and like they have a lot of issues, and bringing that it's a huge mental battle. Um, yeah, well, I appreciate this. Is there anything else that you'd share with anybody that's struggling, or anything that anybody that needs help, anything that you would advise them to do?
You just got to keep with the process. And I just say, find the fine tune pieces that I think works best for the way that you are on the phone. Because ultimately, I think the biggest thing is just, again, that self-awareness and saying, okay, I'm really good at this naturally, or I maybe struggle with this. And I think I can use that to my advantage. I think we have the framework of the script, of course, which is great. Never deviate from the core of that. But I think
Hmm.
there's bits and pieces that you can fine tune and really just take advantage of to better suit your style and your process. And then long term, that would just make for a more enjoyable time selling. And again, your energy level is not going to deplete in a way to where you can't perform at the high level that you want to. So that's
Absolutely.
basically it. Yeah.
Max efficiency, and something came to my mind is like a lot of people like try to become life insurance agents. What are like three character traits you think someone would have to be able to do this? Because I don't think everyone is cut out to do this. So
Mm.
like three things, like if your friend was to come with you, like he's like, "Hey man, I want to do life insurance." What are three things that you would look for in him to help understand if he'd be successful or not?
Well, number one, it's just got to be motivation. You got to have a drive to actually succeed.
Great.
It's not
Hmm.
a job where it's like a 9 to 5 where you can just clock in, clock out, and whatever. I mean, you can, but you're not really going to get anywhere if you have that approach. So number one is you got to have that motivation, that drive. Two is you got to have that stomach to persevere. Of course, like I just
Hmm.
said, because if you're going to have a week or maybe 2 weeks that's just kind of lackluster, which it happens to the best of us, and you just stay in that rut and that plateau, then you're not going to make it as well. And I guess three is coachability. For sure is
Hmm.
coachability. And I mean, there are plenty of things. Even as good as you may be on the calls or whatever, you need to be able to take constructive criticism if there's certain pieces that are not working for you, and just being able to take that with grace as well, just
Yeah.
being coachable.
Love that, and being able to adapt and change based off your process. Well, I say I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna